So, Governor, do you recognize this picture?
I do recognize the picture.
Briefly describe it to us. What is it? What's going on?
These were folks, I believe the people in the picture now are incarcerated in Minnesota.
It's a precinct 3 burning down because of your decision. Was this a peaceful protest? Was this a peaceful protest?
The gentleman standing there?
Was this a peaceful protest?
It was a criminal act that people were prosecuted for.
So it wasn't a peaceful protest.
The House Oversight Committee hearing quickly became one of the day's most talked about moments. Representative Pete Stauber, who spent 23 years serving in law enforcement, sharply questioned Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on several controversial issues. During the exchange, Stauber pointed to the destruction of a police precinct during the unrest, challenged Walz over previous remarks that critics interpreted as comparing law enforcement officers to the Gestapo, and concluded by raising allegations of stolen valor, saying the available evidence supported his position. For those following debates over government accountability, public service, and law enforcement policy, the exchange drew significant attention. Here's what unfolded.
Thank you very much, Governor Walz. Thanks for being here today. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I ask you to keep your remarks brief. I got a lot to go through. As you know, I spent 23 years as a law enforcement officer in the state of Minnesota. You know that, right? You know that, yes or no?
I don't know how
question. It's not a trick question.
I don't know.
I'll answer it for you. 23 years in Duluth.
Thank you for that.
So, Governor, do you recognize this picture?
I do recognize the picture.
Briefly describe it to us. What is it? What's going on?
These were folks, I believe the people in the picture now are incarcerated in Minnesota.
It's a precinct 3 burning down because of your decision. Was this a peaceful protest? Was this a peaceful protest?
The gentleman standing there?
Was this a peaceful protest?
It was a criminal act that people were prosecuted for.
So it wasn't a peaceful protest, right? As I watched lawlessness devastate Los Angeles this past week, I was reminded of your failure to protect Minnesota from similar riots. Governor Walz, on May 29th of 2020, during your own press conference, you described your response to the riots during the 2020 Summer of Love as, quote, an abject failure. Governor, I couldn't agree with you more.
That's out of context.
And on May 17th, 2025, you were at the law school, graduating Minnesota Law School, talking to the graduates. And we've talked about this. You called the enforcement of illegal immigrants a modern-day Gestapo. You've been asked 3-4 times if you would rescind that, and you won't. Will you rescind it? This is like the 5th time, yes or no?
Congressman, I was talking to law students about due process, and I
So
said you took an oath to due
Governor, was
process.
there a violent Al-Shabaab terrorist who entered our country illegally, arrested in Minneapolis last year? Yes, there was. Were there 3 illegal child predators arrested by ICE in St. Paul earlier this year?
I certainly hope so. That's their job.
Yes, there was. Are the officers who arrested the Al-Shabaab terrorists or the child predators, are they Nazis or the Gestapo?
The tactics of wearing
They're
masks.
not.
The tactics of wearing masks.
Why did you
unidentified.
tell us that they were the Gestapo? Do you believe that any of the violent illegal immigrants I have mentioned have a right to be in this country?
I don't know what their immigration status was.
They're illegal, violent criminals that ICE took off the streets of Minneapolis.
You did not say, Congressman, what their status
Governor,
was.
last week, law enforcement officers in the state of Minnesota took 900 pounds of meth off the streets. Do you support that?
We certainly do.
Do you know that ICE assisted in that those arrests and investigations? Do you support the assistance of ICE in that enforcement action? Yes or no?
I can't speak to that because we were not included in the briefing.
You don't know if ICE was part of it? I'm telling you they were.
I don't have that data. I would have to trust you.
Will you apologize to our constituents and law enforcement officers for making them and their families less safe with your incendiary actions?
I'll congratulate them that they helped us work on the largest pension bill for
Governor.
Minnesota law enforcement in
Governor.
30 years.
Claiming my time. Governor, what weapons did you carry in war?
Congressman, for 24 years, I carried.
No. What weapons did you carry in war?
What did you carry?
What did...
Norm?
I
You
tell you
know I
what, Governor,
misspoke.
you're
You know I
barking down the
misspoke.
wrong tree, okay?
You know I
You
misspoke.
lied to the Minnesotans. You said that you carried weapons in war. That's
Chairman.
stolen valor. You know what? My wife served 25, 24 years
Iraq,
in the military,
respect for
and
the
she's an Iraq war veteran.
You know what I
He
mean?
was
This
over in the
is not-
war
not-
zone. That's
On a point
stolen
of-
valor, and I'm so
point of order,
disgusted with
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
And so are the people that you serve
Point
with.
of order.
Point of order.
That's stolen
I'll
valor.
just a minute.
Stolen
I don't
valor.
know.
You didn't carry weapons
That's
in
not questionable.
war.
Congressman, my 24 years was
That's not
public
a
for
question.
You
many, many
apologize
years.
for lying.
Objection.
You
No,
apologize for lying.
Objection.
Hold on, pause.
That's not questioning a witness. That's not questioning a witness. You think-
Point of order. State your point, Mr. Eckerman.
No, you're
State your point. There you go.
You're hectoring. You're hectoring. You're
State
hectoring.
your-
Governor, you didn't carry weapons in war, did you?
State your point.
You didn't carry
Proceed.
weapons
That's
in war,
24
did
seconds.
you?
Congressman, you
You
know I
didn't carry
misspoke.
weapons in war, yes or no?
you.
You lied. Governor, what rank did you retire at?
I
What rank did
served,
you retire at?
Congressman, I served my battalion as the command sergeant major.
That's not the question
and for
I asked.
pay-
What rank did you retire at?
I retired as a master sergeant in
Okay,
EA.
here's your coin that says you retired at a command sergeant major. That's
It says I
where's
wore
your
that.
coin.
It says I wore the rank.
This is that's right. You didn't retire, did you?
I did retire after 24 years.
Here is a picture of your coin, your challenge coin. I'm disgusted with you. I'm just.
Chairman, the time has expired.
You lie when the
Gentleman's
story
time
matter.
expired.
You called half Trump supporters Nazis and fascists, and you know what? That's why the Minnesota Police and Peace Association did not support you in the last election.
Well, I support them.
Action.
Gentleman's time expired.
On behalf of the folks from the land of rocks and cows, thank you. Now you're back.
Chair recognizes Ms. Tenney from York.
The hearing soon evolved into one of the most closely watched confrontations of the day as Representative Pete Stauber directed a series of pointed questions at Governor Tim Walz. Instead of focusing on a single issue, Stauber worked through several controversies that have surrounded the governor, pressing him for explanations on each one. Opening the exchange, Stauber highlighted his own experience in law enforcement, reminding those in attendance that he served as a police officer in Duluth for more than 23 years. When Walz appeared not to recognize that part of his background, some observers interpreted the moment as a sign that the governor lacked familiarity with the perspective of career law enforcement officers. The discussion then turned to the unrest that followed in Minneapolis during 2020, with particular attention given to the destruction of the 3rd Precinct Police Station. Displaying a photograph of the damaged building, Stauber questioned whether the events could accurately be described as peaceful. Walz responded by saying his earlier comments had been misunderstood or taken out of context, while Stauber argued that the damage to public property and the security failures were clear evidence of the seriousness of the situation. The hearing grew even more heated when Stauber raised Walz's previous comments comparing certain immigration enforcement actions to the Gestapo. Stauber argued that such language unfairly reflected on law enforcement personnel and repeatedly asked whether Walz wished to revise or withdraw those remarks. Walz defended his earlier statements, and the exchange ended without either side changing its position. Attention then shifted to Walz's military record, a topic that generated some of the strongest reactions during the hearing. Stauber questioned remarks in which Walz had referred to carrying weapons in war, arguing that the wording could leave people with an inaccurate understanding of his military experience. According to Stauber, public officials have a responsibility to describe their service with complete accuracy, especially when discussing matters related to combat. Stauber also revisited questions surrounding Walz's use of the title Command Sergeant Major. Referring to a military challenge coined during the hearing, he argued that Walz retired as a Master Sergeant and did not complete the requirements associated with the higher rank. Stauber maintained that these distinctions are important when presenting military credentials to the public. Walz has publicly responded to these issues in the past, but the subject once again became a central part of the committee's debate. Throughout the hearing, Stauber maintained a firm and persistent line of questioning, frequently pressing for direct responses. Walz defended his record, disputed several of the allegations, and argued that some of the criticisms lacked important context. Supporters of Stauber viewed the exchange as an effort to demand accountability from an elected official, while supporters of Walz contended that the hearing revisited long-standing political disputes without fully acknowledging the broader circumstances. By the end of the session, the confrontation had become one of the hearing's defining moments, fueling renewed discussion about public safety, political rhetoric, leadership, and military service. What are your thoughts on the exchange? Do you think Representative Pete Stauber presented a persuasive case, or do you believe Governor Tim Walz effectively answered the concerns raised during the hearing? Share your opinion in the comments below.